welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I thought I would film a vlog. So I don't do these very often, but I really enjoy watching them and I feel like it's a good way to get to know the creator a little bit more and find out what they do day to day. So I am filming a day in my life. Every day is different, so today is just going to be today. I'm going to do my daily art and I'm going to film the process for that, so that will be in this vlog. I'm also hoping that my new printer will arrive today, so it is scheduled to arrive at some point today and I'm really excited about that, so we're going to set that up and hopefully do a few test prints, and I'll talk a little bit more about why I've decided to invest in a home printer a little bit later in the vlog. I've also got an Etsy order to pack and some freelance work to do, and then I also need to edit a video for Patreon which will go up tomorrow. So I think what I'm going to do first is crack on with the daily art. So next up you will see the process of me filling the very last thread in my sketchbook. So this is the one that I've just done a halfway flip through for, and I was a bit delayed filming that because it is completely full now except for this very final spread, which I've just got this end page with some swatches on, but yeah, very exciting to be filling this one up, and I love the way that it feels when it's full, and then I will be moving on to another sketchbook. Hello. So I thought I'd just do a little lunchtime update. The printer still hasn't arrived, so I'm hoping that will come this afternoon, but what I'm going to do next, Mitch and I are going to have some lunch, and then I'm going to start scanning in some artwork and then editing it for print. So that's what I'm going to show you next. This morning I recorded the footage that you've just seen, did some chores, did some washing, emptied the dishwasher, that sort of thing, and then I took all of the photos for the daily art. I take those on my big camera, then I edit those, and then that's ready to upload later. I need to write the caption and the hashtags, but otherwise that's all done. I transferred all of the footage so I can edit the reel this evening as well. Generally I find my mornings quite slow, and it's taken me a while to sort of get into understanding the way that I work. So generally I find that my mornings and like early afternoon I take things quite slowly, things take a while to like get going, but I really hit my stride like mid-afternoon, and so I work later in the evening. So generally I'll be working again from like 7 till 10 p.m. So I'm not sure if I'm going to film that, but I'm definitely going to show you all my editing process and how I scan, because I have been asked that before, how I edit my artwork for print, so hopefully that's really interesting for you. I also did a little bit of freelance work this morning, so yeah, I'm going to have some lunch now, and then it will go into voiceover and I'll explain my process for editing and scanning and getting it all ready. So I always scan my prints rather than photographing it, and I use a Canon Lide 220 scanner. I've had this for quite a few years now and it's going strong. I found that when I was researching for scanners, this one came up really highly, but I don't think it's available anymore. But there are definitely newer versions of this scanner, and I just use the Windows Fax and Scan program on my computer and scan it from there. I always scan at 600 dpi because that allows me to make bigger prints, and I prefer to have a really high res version of the artwork than having it low res and then having to redo the artwork if I want to make an A4 print later on, and I've only scanned it at like A5. So you'll see here that what I do when I scan in my artwork is I'll do it in sections. So obviously I only have an A4 scanner and I'm scanning in this A3 spread, but instead of just doing one half and then one half, because I've gone over the middle with my paintings, I scan it in 3 sections, so I do the middle as well, because otherwise I find with the spine it makes it blurry in the middle. So what I do then is edit it in Photoshop, and I bring all the pieces together and piece them all together into one image. So you'll notice that I had one of the layers slightly more opaque, because then I could layer it over the other pieces and really line them up so I could see exactly where to position it. And the beauty of having the 3 different scans is that I can pick out areas that are more in focus. So obviously because it is a scanner, sometimes there are areas that are a bit more blurred, whereas doing the multiple scans means I can take text where it's scanned a bit better. Like you can see here, I'm piecing it all together like that. I'm also going through and using the healing tool and just spot healing around where I've got little marks from the scanner. So my scanner bed is quite dirty, which isn't great, but I just use Photoshop to clean that up. And then what you'll see here is I'm adjusting the levels and the curves. So I always do these as adjustment layers. You can see that in my layer palette over there on the right. And for my curves, I always put the little white eyedropper on the very lightest part of the scan, and then I adjust the curve from there. Usually it's lower at the bottom and then it curves up towards the top, and I find that makes my whites whiter because most of my artwork is in the Royal Talens sketchbook, which has cream pages. But for my print I want it really white, so I play around with the curves, and then if I want it even brighter I also use the levels. And because they are adjustment layers, I can go in and change these if I need to. So what I'm doing now, once I've pieced together my artwork and I'm happy with how it's looking, although for this one I'm going to change it later, I wanted to show you how I get rid of the spine. Because most of my artwork is in sketchbooks, this is often a problem, and I always have to fix it. So again, I mostly use the spot healing brush. You can see here that I'm using it to blend in the mushroom, and I'm also just using a white here to get rid of the spine because it's quite easy with this one where there's a white background on my artwork. I can just erase that easily. But further down you'll see one of the mushrooms where I have to do a little bit more work than just using the spot healer brush. And I tend to grab colours around and sort of blend it in together. I'm using some of the brushes that come with Photoshop that were part of Kyle Webster's pack. And these are like pastels and they have a really nice texture, so I find that as a good base to work from. And you can see I'm just using the eyedropper to take colours from other areas of the artwork. And again, I'm kind of using areas and the textures from the artwork already and piecing them all together to fill in the gap. And again, I'll merge these together and then I'll use the spot heal brush and a little bit of like the paintbrush and changing the colours so that it looks a bit more like I've actually painted it rather than just gone in digitally. And just using the paintbrush I find makes it look a bit too clean, so that's why I copy bits from the other areas of the mushroom and put it all together. And then I blend them all in. And just using this mixture of the spot heal brush, the paintbrush, and then copying areas, you can also use the clone tool. I find that it works really well for this, and this is exactly the same process that I'd use for like a full spread that didn't just have mostly white spine. This is the way I would do it. You might know that it's there because obviously you did the original artwork, but most people wouldn't even notice. So I always recommend stepping back because obviously you know that there was something there. So give it a day or so and then come to it with fresh eyes, and generally I don't think it would be obvious that you had a spine there. So I hope that makes sense, but it is just a lot of fiddling with like spot heal and the paintbrush to try and blend it all in. So what I'm doing now is arranging all the mushrooms and the text. So it's a portrait print. I want this to be available as A4 and A3 in my shop, so I'm just arranging the mushrooms into a way that fits nicely together. Some of them I flipped, obviously kept the text not flipped, but I do end up replacing the text because when I did the original artwork in my sketchbook, I made a lot of spelling mistakes and some of the Latin names were incorrect. And I also noticed when I was putting this piece together, I didn't even bother putting the name of one of the mushrooms on there. I totally missed that out. So what I'm doing here is taking my iPad and doing all the names again. I've done this on Procreate because I can then just take this straight back into Photoshop and layer them onto my print. And I use Google Drive to transfer my files from my iPad onto my PC. And I'll be taking those and popping them onto the print and finishing it off later on. This method is how I create all of my prints to be print ready, so make sure you scan at a really high resolution. When you are creating your print ready artwork, generally you'll need it in CMYK, so you're not disappointed when it does go to the printer and the colours come back different. And then to make the whites whiter and adjusting the colours, always use the curves or the levels tool. And that's basically the process for all of my prints, so I hope that was useful. And like I said, with the spine, I'll just touch that up using the methods that I showed. So the printer's just arrived, which is exciting. Obviously waited all day for this and it's 4:30. But it does mean now I can go out and send that Etsy order and then I will set up the printer and do some test prints. I'm probably not going to print anything today. I haven't got any like artwork ready or anything, but obviously throughout the week I'm going to get more artwork ready. I've done some more scans, that's what I've been doing this afternoon, as well as some freelance work. So the plan now is to get everything ready, do all the print artwork, then I can start printing it now the printer's arrived, and then I can take photos and everything ready for Etsy. So the plan is to do like a mini shop launch on Monday the 1st of August, so that's tomorrow if you're watching this when this video is live. So I will link my Etsy shop down below if you're interested. And the next few clips will be me setting up the printer, and then I'll insert some future footage from future me of some of the test prints, and then I'll do a round off later on, but it's time to set up my new printer. Hello, so it's future me. I've done some test prints, and I also thought I would just talk a little bit about why I've decided to invest in a printer instead of doing what I've been doing for the past few years where I've been outsourcing my prints. So what I've been doing in my Etsy shop at the moment is buying some prints in first, and it's really hard to gauge what will do well and how many prints will sell. So I've tended to buy smaller amounts, which obviously increases the price per print, but I didn't want to have a huge amount of prints in stock. But again, it's like really hard to balance, especially as a small business. So I tended to get in maybe 15 to 20 prints, and like I said, it is hard to know which ones will sell. I sometimes gauge it from social media, so the floral print I did, which went viral on Twitter, that's this one here. That one I had a lot of requests for prints, and so that one did really well, and I did 2 print runs of that. So I did my initial batch of 20, and then because they all sold out, I bought some more. So sometimes you get people tell you that they want a print, but it doesn't always work that way. So I think that's the trickiest thing about running an online shop as a small business owner, is working out how much to buy, because obviously it can be a big outlay and you want to have a lot of listings and prints because you want to, in my case, rank higher for Etsy, and more listings is better for that. But then if it doesn't sell, then maybe you sold like 1 or 2, and then you've got like 18 prints just sat in stock and not selling. So the reason why I've invested in a printer is so that I can print on demand. You can do this externally, you can get print on demand sites, but I really like having the control here. I can print out all of my Patreon prints as well as my Etsy shop orders, and I have the control on making it lighter, changing the color settings and things, because again, that's another thing that's tricky when you're outsourcing. I find that external printers, bigger print companies tend to print dark, so I always have to lighten first on Photoshop and try and guess how light to do it so that it comes back how I want it. And I tend to get that right now, but it's definitely trial and error, whereas I much prefer the idea of having like less waste and having perfect prints by being able to do it at home and have that control. The other thing that it's good for is I can change the sizes. So now in my Etsy shop I'll have a print and I'll have it available as A5 and A4, and for some of these maybe even A3. And again, I can print on demand and just have that as a listing with different drop downs for the size, and then print what the customer wants. So although it is a big outlay at first, obviously depending on the printer you get, and then the inks, which I'm dreading having to make my first ink order because they are so expensive, the proper Canon ones. But I really do think that the quality is worth it, and I'm super impressed with this printer. I've obviously done my test prints now, and I've got some prints ready for the shop launch tomorrow, and I'm so impressed with how crisp it is. I'm going to pop in some close-ups as well, and then I'm going to show you some of the prints. But I'm really impressed with the detail. I was worried that it wasn't going to show the texture of the paintings, so that was the problem I have with my current printer, and why I didn't print at home before was just because the quality wasn't good enough. And I have quite high standards, and I want to be able to see that it is a painting, and like I found a lot of the colours were muddied and blending in together, whereas on this new printer it doesn't do that, so I'm really happy about that. It has taken a few goes to get the colour right, but obviously I can fix that and make it how I want it, so I've adjusted some of the like warmer tones and like the contrast and things. So at the moment I've got the pigeon print, which I've just got as A5, and I'm going to do boats and frogs, which were also requested, and I think I'll do them as a set as well as buying them individually. This is an A4 print that I've done. This is of a Cornish harbour town, And this was a really good test because this is probably, well, this is the most amount of colour and ink I've put on a page so far. Testing it on the printer. It's handled it really nicely. Again, you'll have seen in the close-ups that it really captured the colours and all of the texture of the paint. So really chuffed with that, and it wouldn't have been this quality on my other printer, so I'm really glad that I've invested in this one. I should probably tell you which printer it is. This is the Canon Pixma Pro 200, and I bought it direct from the Canon website, and yeah, definitely recommend it. And then the next print is one that I'm so excited about. This is like a totally new style of print I've done, and that's these mushrooms. And you'll have seen this is the one that I've been editing and that I did my voiceover for. But I'm really happy with how this turned out, and again, the print quality is really good. Like, you can really see it in this mushroom here, just how well the textures come out. So I'm really happy with this one, and again, I'll offer this as A4 and A3, and then I can print it as the order comes in, rather than like buying 20 of these and hope that they sell. So it reduces waste because things aren't like staying in piles on my stock shelves, and hopefully I'll be able to gauge a little bit better about what does well. And again, I can also have prints on demand, so if someone says that they really like a print and does actually want to buy it, I can just scan the artwork in, create it, and just print it there and then, rather than having to buy however many and hope that other people like it too, because just buying one from the printer is definitely, like an external printer is definitely not cost effective, whereas this way I've got the printer, I've got the ink and the means to do it, so I'm hoping that it will help add more flexibility and hopefully more print sales. With the cost of the ink and the printer and the paper, obviously it's a big outlay, but I'm hoping it does pay off in the long run, and I definitely think it will be more cost effective than going externally, especially with all my Patreon prints each month, which is an exclusive just available on these postcard pals tier on my Patreon. So I think that wraps up most of the things I wanted to say about why I wanted to get a printer at home. But yeah, I'm really excited about this sort of new era for the shop, because I'm excited about having more prints and cards in my Etsy shop.
Another lazy afternoon, the clouds covered in grey, third coffee of the day. Almost fell asleep on Zoom, I yawn at the display, third meeting of the day. But I can hear raindrops tap dancing on the roof. It's like they're calling out, don't lose your youth, 'cause I can stay inside and type away inside. Oh, make today just a little less mundane. Oh, I can stay inside and type away inside. Oh, take today, oh, dancing in the rain. Hey, woo, oh, na 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 na, woo, oh, oh, na 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 na, woo, oh, na 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 na, woo, na na na, woo, na na na. When I was a little child, I naturally would see magic in the world around me.
So I have completely trashed the office. There is the giant printer box behind me. I've moved my chair over there because everything was in the way. My entire desk is now trashed. But I am looking forward to playing with the printer tomorrow. Hopefully that all goes okay, and you'll have seen some of the tests, so I'm really excited about this printer and looking forward to seeing how it works with my shop and updating prints and having more prints more regularly. So we've just got back from our little walk. I dropped off the Etsy order at the post box, and then we treated ourselves to a frappuccino. So that was really nice. It's really nice making the most of these longer evenings and just having little walks. It's 6:20 now, so I've just watered the garden, which you'll have seen, and now we're about to have dinner. And then after dinner, that's when I get my second wind and do a bulk of my work, and that's when I just do a whole load of computer work. So I'm going to edit a reel ready to go for tomorrow morning with the magpie process that you've just seen. And then I also am going to edit that Patreon video I mentioned. And that's a Patreon exclusive of this piece. So I filmed the process for these mushrooms. Again, I did a reel. I tend to film the footage and then I use it for a reel. And I also edit it either into a YouTube video or usually a Patreon video. So it kind of works for me because I do reels, which helps with engagement and Instagram. And then I've also got extra content for my patrons and in general. So I find that really works for me and I can use it twice. So I'm going to edit that tonight, and yes, basically just an evening in front of the computer. So I hope you really enjoyed watching this vlog. I do find them quite easy to film. I just really worry that they're boring, and I say that in every vlog. But I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. If you are interested in any new prints in my Etsy shop, then that will be up tomorrow, the 1st of August. But if you do have anything in mind that you've seen on my feed or Instagram that you'd like as a print, just let me know, because that's the beauty of my home printer now, and I'd be happy to make one for you. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next Sunday with a new video. See you later.